pilgrims. Well, except that's probably not what happened. The location of the pilgrims, according to sort of after the witness fact, we know the location of the pilgrims' landing because in 1741, 121 years after they arrived, a young boy overheard a 95-year-old man by the name of Thomas Fonts relate that his father, who came to Plymouth there 3 years after the Mayflower, told him he had heard from unnamed persons that the landing occurred there. So that's the first myth, okay? Secondly, the pilgrims came to America in search of religious freedom. We were told that in grade school. Well, it's fair to say that the pilgrims left England to find religious freedom, but that wasn't the primary motive that propelled them to North America. Remember that the pilgrims went first to Holland, settling in eventually the city of Leiden, or however you pronounce it. There they encountered a religious tolerance almost unheard of in that day and age. Bradford and Edward Winslow both wrote glowingly of their experience. In Leiden, or Luden, or however you pronounce it, God had allowed them, in Bradford's estimation, to come as near the primitive pattern of the first churches as any other church of these later times. Okay? So in a longing for religious freedom, if a longing for religious freedom had compelled them, they probably never would have left. Okay? Number 3, the Pilgrims' Autumn Celebration in 1621 was the first American Thanksgiving. Now, the Pilgrims were hardly the first people to stop and thank their Creator for a bountiful harvest. Native Americans had a long tradition of Thanksgiving celebrations. The Algonquian people, for example, participated in regular ceremonies linked to the crop cycle, while the nearby Wampanoag annually celebrated the first harvest of the new season with a strawberry festival. So Europeans who arrived in North America before the Pilgrims also engaged in such observances. There's evidence of a Thanksgiving service held in 1564 near present-day Jacksonville, Florida, by French Huguenots. The next year, Spanish documents refer to a Thanksgiving Mass celebrated at St. Augustine by conquistadors who would soon slaughter the Huguenots. Texas historians say the Spanish colonists celebrated Thanksgiving with the Manzo Indians near present-day El Paso in 1598, among other celebrations. Okay, so some myths to break about Thanksgiving. Almost said Halloween for some strange reason. Alrighty. Well, as I said, I'll have the CBS World News Roundup for you in just a little bit, as well as APM market information. But right now, though, as we stroll on this Wednesday morning, it's time to check in with Mr. Obvious, okay? And find out what's going on in his program.
Hi, hello, this is Mr. Obvious, and welcome to the Mr. Obvious Show. Let's take a call. Mr. Obvious Show.
Hello, is this Mr. Obvious?
Speaking.
Hi, Mr. Obvious, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Well, thanks very much for the call.
Well, thank you, Mr. Obvious, for taking my call.
Well, you're very welcome.
All right, bye.
Now, remember, if you have a problem, you too can call the Mr. Obvious Show and speak to me personally. My name? Why? It's Mr. Obvious. Let's take another call. Mr. Obvious Show.
Hello, is this Mr. Obvious? Hi, Mr. Obvious, long-time listener, second-time caller.
Well, welcome to the program, caller. How can I help?
Well, Mr. Obvious, I need some advice on cooking a turkey.
Well, to be quite honest, caller, it's not as difficult as it may sound.
Well, that's what they say, Mr. Obvious, but I tell you what, I tried cooking one the last 5 years, and I just haven't had any success.
Well, now, let's start at the beginning. Do you have a big roasting pan?
Well, I sure do, Mr. Obvious.
Good. Now, do you have an oven?
Well, of course I do, Mr. Obvious. I'm no idiot, Mr. Obvious. I'm not like a lot of those people that call your show.
Oh, now, please don't take offense, caller. It's just that sometimes my callers are, well, how should I put this? A little naive.
Oh, I got you, Mr. Obvious.
So again, caller, don't take offense at this question. Do you actually have a turkey?
Sure, Mr. Obvious. I got a nice big 25-pound turkey.
Whoa. Great. Well, caller, I don't mind telling you that you do, in fact, seem a little more astute than many of my callers.
Gee, thanks, Mr. Obvious. Coming from you, that means a lot.
Okay, you have a turkey, you have a pan, you have an oven. Have you stuffed your turkey, caller?
Oh, yeah, that's all done.
Preheated the oven?
Yep.
Again, caller, I don't want to belabor the point, but you really seem to have something on the ball. It's callers like you that I hope to attract when I first started the Mr. Obvious program.
Thanks again, Mr. Obvious. Makes me proud.
In fact, Mr. Obvious is a little bit puzzled at this point as to why you haven't been able to successfully cook your turkey in the past.
Well, I am too, Mr. Obvious.
All right, what exactly's happened in the previous years when you tried to cook your turkey?
Well, usually the problem is the turkey's just too tough.
Too tough, you say?
Oh, yeah, real tough.
Now, do you baste the turkey?
Yep, I tried that, and it didn't seem to help.
Have you thought about putting the turkey in a bag?
In a bag, Mr. Obvious?
Yes, sir, caller. Many people swear by this method of cooking a turkey.
That sounds kind of hard, Mr. Obvious.
Hard? Why no, caller. It's not hard at all.
Well, if you say so, can you hang on a second? I can give it a try while I got you on the phone here.
Well, normally Mr. Obvious is pressed for time, but for a caller like you, I'll spare a few seconds. Go ahead, put your turkey in the bag. I'll hold on.
Great, thanks, Mr. Obvious. I'll be right back. All right, come here, boys. Get in this bag.
What's
Here
going
now.
on there?
All right,
Oh, no.
calm down, boys.
What the?
Come on, get in the bag, little feller.
What's going on there? Caller?
Don't fight me.
Caller!
Oh,
Hello?
oh, Dad, scumming.
Why do I even try? Oh, boy.
Mr. Obvious?
Hello? Yes, caller?
Yeah, it's not going to work. I'm telling you, he's just too tough. I can't get him in there. I figure even if I did get him in there, if he can get out of a roasting pan like he has for the last 5 years, I don't see how a paper bag's going to hold him very long.
Your turkey's alive, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, he's alive. There's no doubt about that. He's a tough old bird.
You've been trying to cook the same live turkey for 5 years, caller?
Sure have, and haven't had a bit of success, Mr. Obvious.
Well, I can't help but saying Mr. Obvious is saddened by this turn of events.
I know what you mean, Mr. Obvious. My little girl, she gets sad every year when I try to pop this doggone turkey in the oven.
Well, apparently I'm not the judge of character and intellect that I presumed that I was. Caller, hey, here's an idea. Have you ever thought about killing the turkey?
Tell you what, Mr. Obvious, I've sure thought about it a couple times. Man, when that sucker bites me, I just want to wring his neck. Sometimes all that gobbling drives me up the wall. I never been so mad that I actually seriously thought about killing him.
Uh-huh. Caller, you can't cook the turkey until he's dead.
Really?
Yes, really. You cook dead turkeys, not live ones.
I never made the connection.
Yeah. Hey, that's all the time we have for today.
Hey, Mr. Obvious?
Yes, Colin.
Thanks, Mr. Obvious. You're a lifesaver.
I appreciate it. Join us next week for another.
Hey, Mr. Obvious?
Yeah.
One more thing. How long do turkeys typically live?
Join us next week for the Mr. Obvious Show.
Welcome back to Studio 27 on this Wednesday morning. And we'll have news for you in just a moment. I'll have news for you from the CBS Radio Network, as well as popular tweets of the day, and news of the weird, and a very long song of the day coming up a little bit, in a Thanksgiving tradition for many radio stations across the country for today and tomorrow. Right now, though, what do you say we take a look at the price of your Thanksgiving meal for this year? Now, suppose, for example, you have 10 people over for Thanksgiving, okay? Now, they expect to be fed, right? That's only appropriate. Well, this year's meal will be a little bit cheaper than last year's Thanksgiving feed if it's considered an average Thanksgiving meal, okay? Promotions Director Diane Olson with the Missouri Farm Bureau has been calculating the prices of Thanksgiving dinners for the Missouri Farm Bureau since 1986. I'm sure she does other things for the Farm Bureau, but this is one of her tasks. And the ingredients haven't changed. Includes a 16-pound turkey, stuffing, sweet potatoes, rolls with butter, peas, pumpkin pie with whipped cream, a relish tray, and you can't forget the cranberries, along with coffee, milk, and tea. All right? That dinner is $3.26 cheaper this year than last year. Most of it because that turkey will be $2.88 cheaper. She says frozen turkeys are in plentiful supply, despite what the folks at Butterball are saying. But she says it's important not to wait very long to buy one of those birds. Olson calculates that the dinner would cost $48.61 this year, less than $5 per person for that 10-person feast. That's not counting leftovers. Depending on how many days you can stand turkey hash, turkey stew, turkey sandwiches, well, you get the idea. The price per meal could be even cheaper. So the Thanksgiving eats a lot cheaper this year than in previous years. Okay. All right. Well, what do you say we take care of market information? So let me find the appropriate information. And there's the Market Morning Report. And now, without further delay, here we go.
A linchpin of the European economy is now on track for a new government by Christmas.
Marketplace Morning Report is produced in association with the University of Southern California and is supported by MassMutual, dedicated to helping lower-income families protect their children's education with MassMutual's LifeBridge program, massmutual.com.
From APM, I'm David Brancaccio with the Global Perspective on Business and Economics, coming to you from the Washington Bureau today. Chancellor Angela Merkel's Conservatives today cut a deal with the center-left in Germany to form a coalition government that is pledging some serious new spending. The BBC's Steve Evans is in Berlin. Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
So there's going to be some more spending, it looks like, by the German government. What types of spending?
There's going to be more spending on what's called the Energiewende here in Germany. That's switching from nuclear to solar and wind. Chancellor Merkel, just after Fukushima, said the country's nuclear power stations would close. And that is obviously a huge job, a re-engineering of the whole economy. There's been some criticism of rising costs, but she said right out, we're going to keep balancing the budgets. And then she said again, we're going to keep balancing the budgets. Point 3, there will be no rise in taxes on the rich. So some spending, but no real change in economic policy.
I mean, the government, if this coalition in fact does gel, will need the money for this from somewhere. Some of it is they're counting on lower interest rates and a little bit more growth.
They're banking on growth rising next year, certainly. It's pretty measly this year. So the assumption is that as that growth happens, tax revenues will rise, and that money can then go into investment in research and that great switch from nuclear to sustainable energy.
A big energy and budgetary shift apparently on the way in Germany. The BBC's Steve Evans in Berlin, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
From the Carolinas to Maine this morning, it's just filthy out there. The weather has settled over some key East Coast airports on this busiest travel day. If your mother's really counting on you showing up for the meal, Marketplace's Dan Gorenstein reports on ways to work around the weather without bankrupting yourself.
If you're dead set on getting home for tart cranberry sauce and you have to make plans at the last minute, you're going to have to pull out your wallet.
The airlines, they know that this is a compressed time, so it's not going to be cheap.
That's travel writer Bené Wilson, who says airlines are already sending out delays and cancellations. The question is, how much will you lay down for a bite of those turkey wings?
If you're staying with the same airline, they want to get you on your way just as much as you do.
Brett Snyder runs the travel service Cranky Concierge and calls himself Chief Airline Dork.
If you can find another itinerary, it may have 2 stops, it may even have an overnight somewhere. They're going to be able to do that, and it won't cost you anything extra.
Of course, if you're willing to cough up $20 to $50, Condé Nast travel writer Wendy Perrin says head to one of those lounges that seem to be springing up at airports.
It's just a comfortable place so that you're away from the pandemonium in the rest of the airport.
And while you're there, you can dream about the pumpkin cheesecake that awaits. I'm Dan Gorenstein for Marketplace.
Now let's do the numbers. The FT 100 in London is up about 0.1% right now, about 7 points. Stock index futures in the U.S. are all up at the moment. In the U.S. smartphone market, the Windows phone seems firmly stuck in third place, far behind the likes of Android and Apple. But it's a different story in